Good morning, and it is that time again to do some Pilates repertoire. The great thing today is we've actually got the complete bite-sized moment of the 3 of 3 and the complete episode of the 6 session series. In other words, the whole repertoire of series 1 makes up, if you do these videos in whatever order, you get what you need to do a proper system of Pilates repertoire around your own posture, making your own improvements and avoiding injuries or the declining joint scenarios that come with age. So, tuning in then, you've got video number 158, and it's your Pilates repertoire final part of this particular series. And in theory there are 6 segments to it. Obviously the final 3 were about being bite-sized, so that no matter what your lifestyle is, you actually got to participate doing your Pilates repertoire in terms of fitting into your day. It's a good morning to everybody. Hello Leslie, hello Jane and Diane and Helen, and there's certain people coming that I haven't actually seen because I was too busy setting up the other camera. Whichever way, you're going to start at the bar, remembering that we're using the different ways of getting into our footworks, as though we've got our heels on the foot bar on the reformer. So we start the final part of this series, this repertoire, at the bar, or at your chair, or your work surface. People yesterday on Zoom used a roller. It's the poor relative to this, but it will do. In terms of pure alignment and stability of the pelvis with symmetry, it doesn't give you as much as you need, and partly because I'm using this as a prep. It's not really the main event. I'm not giving you the time to make the changes. So good morning, Mena and Lindsay. You're into your final part of 3, which is the bite-sized version of this repertoire. Lorna, hello there to you also. I'm standing with my feet parallel. I'm finding my position at my bar equivalent, whatever that might be for you. Good morning, Debbie. Hopefully you have a chair, Debbie, not a roller. You're standing close to it. You've got your arm bent. If you're in the studio, we would ask for your limbs to be relaxed in terms of the upper body, open and aligned. And the breathing is already making its connection with you. As usual, our start shape, the big event, is your squat. So you're inhaling down into the squat with an even pace. Again, think as though your heels are on the foot bar. And as you hinge at the hip and sit your bottom back and push through the ground, stand up, pull your thighs tight together. Good morning, Margaret. This first opening footworks version is closed-legged or closed legs. And that means your inner thigh has to activate a little bit more, and it requires a wee bit more stabilisation. Hello, Carol. Okay, we'll go down and we'll stay in your squat. So staying in your squat, spread your toes and make sure you sense the ground under the toes, outsides of your feet, and your arches lifted, heels grounded. Pelvic tilt on the breath out, using only your deep abdominal wall, and breathing in back to neutral. Breath out is pelvic floor and gently flexing, creating that lumbar imprint without any other part of the body losing its shape. You're keeping the shape of a neutral spine. Once you've done your pelvic imprint using the pelvic floor, there should be no strain. If done accurately, just a beautiful stretch. All right, that was your final imprint. Finding then your neutral and standing up. Now you've got your heel raisers as you lift and lower. And again, a reminder, as you do the heel raise up and down, don't have your legs locked out. Have a slight softened knee, particularly your bendy wendies. As you float up, you're drawing up from deep within the pelvic floor area. You've got your lower abdominals. You're not pinching your bum cheeks tight together. You are pulling your inner thighs tight together, and you're mobilising through the ankle. Inhaling up you go, and exhaling, lowering down. You're aiming to lift and to lower. So you've got your contraction lifting you up and the lengthening contraction lowering you down, and we stay up there. Making sure you're stabilising in a neutral pelvis. You go down, keeping your shoulder blades over your pelvis as it were, so no tucking of the bottom under. I've got a mirror sideways so I can have a look, but I'm in a studio. If during this lockdown you feel like purchasing a big mirror, I would. Okay, you're aiming to come down without your inner thighs pulling away from each other and push back up, keeping your heels not overly lifted. So some of you overlift at the arch, and that's your way of ignoring most of the foot and kind of locking out. It's usually a bendy wendy that does that. Go down now and stay. Keep your ankles together and you've got your pelvic tilts again. So the breath out, the sensation of pulling your hip bones away from your femur and going back again. The other thing you can tune into is your pubic bone, pulling up and forward to the navel and then inhaling back into your normal extender position. Exhaling, both hip bones need to sense that they're involved to keep the symmetry and alignment. 2 more. This is the equivalent of lying on your back doing pelvic tilts. It's harder against gravity, which makes it nicer. Stay where you are. And you're going to go down 1 inch and up 1 inch, not drifting left or right. Feel the ground under the toes and the balls of the feet. Feel the heels lifted. And the insides of your knee joint muscles, not the knee joint, it's the actual joint from bone to bone, but the muscles that lead to the knee. Feel them activate while you're breathing. And then push all the way up and lower your heels down. Pull your feet 5-2, 5 past the hour, and have your inner thighs really tight together in neutral spine. Here we go. You've got your squat in a curtsy or turn out and inhaling. Use your sensory system to know how to press against the ground and the feel for standing up without doing a bit of a shimmy. The posture will never stay truly organised unless you ask it in moments like these to organise. Inhaling, flowing backwards and down. Exhaling, zipping up and hollow and coming up. Yes, your ribcage placement is involved in this. There's no part of you that isn't trying to keep the core stability, trunk stability system in place as your legs take you through a range of movement that activates the side bottom and the inner thigh up into the pelvic floor area. Next time you go down, you'll stay down. Just inhaling down there and make sure both thighs have got exactly the same amount of turn out. Exhaling to pelvic tilt, inhaling to neutral. I can't emphasize enough the need for you to sense your own symmetry. The body doesn't naturally stay symmetrical. And the more of a bendy-wendy you are, the more you're more likely to flow in and out of a good alignment. And when you don't have the right structural alignment, the right muscles don't get responsibility for the right actions around the body, creating distortions. This is your final imprint, and you're back to neutral, and up you stand in your neutral pubis, hip bones level. Keep the heels together as you lift, rolling through the ankle and lower. If you need to pull your feet closer in, remember I always talk about a really small V, the V shape going from the heel to the big toe ball of the foot. Because the people that turn out loads, we know that your tibialis area, that's the lower limb, is usually rotating against the upper limb. We need the turnout to originate from the side bottom here as you're inhaling to go to your tiptoes and exhaling. Your emphasis is reaching for the sky, the clouds go upwards, feel for the clouds, and then pulling the earth to you as you go down. Inhale to grow tall and exhale to lower. Up you go to stay then. If you need to walk your feet slightly close together, do so as we do the equivalent of the flat back version. Flat back being not tucked under so much as the feeling as though your tailbone's reaching down to your heels. If you're too tucked under, you'll lose the true neutral. Now the lordotics amongst us, or the people with longer obliques, you will need to moderate with a slight pelvic tilt. So people like Debbie Goldie, just check that you're in neutral. When you're doing the downwards phase, lowering phase, push the ground away with the pads of the feet and pull the inside of the thighs near the pubic bone back together. This is the last one to stay. Are you ready? Exhale. Find that imprint of the lumbar. Inhale, find the extension of the lumbar. That means you create that arch. Breathing out, the ribs are already involved. And you draw the hip bones up in the direction of the waistband, the rib cage. You feel the flexion. You're using pelvic floor. You're refusing to squeeze your glutes together because that inhibits the movement around the pelvis. This is hydration and stabilisation. Inhaling and exhale, shrinking and lengthening. Now you're going to go down an inch and up an inch, getting a strong sensation of where your quads are, the muscle that leads to stabilise the joint from the inside thigh towards the knee joint here. Keep the heels squeezing, keep the ground pushing down. So the sensation of the ground, the heels, the muscle that leads to here, and the pelvic trunk stability as neutral, and push all the way up and down. And finally, take your feet apart, opening the hip bend, you'll squat, pushing your knees over your second toe and stand. On this one, you're still doing the hinge of the hip joint. You want to spread out your toes, keep your arch elevated as you sit the bottom against the hammock of muscles that make up the back of the thigh into the sit bones. And you're pulling your thighs as wide as you can. We only have 2 more here. And on the final one here, we're going to take it into rolling down. So stay grounded, relax your head, neck and shoulders, don't grip your bottom. Nod the chin as the breath out happens. Sequentially go down through the spine till you feel as though you can get your hands flat to the floor. Keep equal weight through both feet and then stretch the legs to straight and bend again. Push the sit bones up, don't move your upper back. The sensation should keep you grounded through the hands and through the feet. And the breath out is the core trunk connection that keeps your spine in the right shape as your legs stretch your hamstrings and glutes. Okay, stay with bent legs. Place one hand on the thighs. Keep the head down as you breathe out and pelvic roll all the way up to stand. Okay folks, you don't need your chair anymore as we go straight into the repertoire. Obviously this is filling in the gaps of what we haven't done to complete this series. You're going to go to all fours. Once you've got your all fours, spread your fingers, have your knees level with each other. You're breathing in and out. Know where absolute neutral is, and then take your right leg out, reach it and take your left arm out. Here we go. Inhale, slide the foot against the ground and the hand. Exhale, push. Inhaling, feel the line as you push and pull. On the breath out, you pull your arm back, leg back, same side. Do 2 more. And changing sides, same sensation. Send the leg out. And you want the sense of sliding under you and easing away. You're wondering whether, sensing whether your leg is moving in a straight line or whether it drifts out to the side. Your aim is for the muscle fibres to travel kind of horizontal, vertical in terms of the reach and the return. Ready to do the final exercise on all fours, which is our 1 leg kick. So I've gone back to my first leg. You're now 3-point kneeling. You've got your kick, kick and point. Inhale 1, 2, exhale length, or exhale 1, 2, inhale length. What you're aiming to do is keep your thigh bone parallel to wherever it's allowed to go within your pelvic mobility, but you don't want your hips to shift. The hamstring gets activated. 1, 2 and 3. Last time. Changing legs. Grounded through the armpit. Left leg reaches out to wherever your pelvic flexibility allows it to do your hip flexors. And we take it. Sniff, sniff, extend. Looking to not tip the pelvis to the left or right. I have to work much harder on this left side, but when I work harder to keep symmetry and not just play, I make sure that the injury rehab element of this is good for me. So 1, 2 and 3, hamstrings really working. 1, 2 and 3. Pull your knee down straight onto your front. We'll go into prone squeeze. So once you've settled the pubic bone down, pull your heels together. You've got a slight separating out of the thigh bones, and your forehead hovers your fingers like they're a pillow. Your first few breaths, shrink and hollow the abdominals. And as you feel the pubic bone dominant, squeeze your heels and let the thighs reach away from the hips and inhale back down. It's such a small move, and if you're a great student, which takes great focus, as your heels squeeze and your thigh bones push away from the hips and then float with the intensity of the glute med, you're pulling navel to spine, you're not using your lower back, and your rib cage core connection's there, your shoulders away from your neck, and less is always more. You have one more. Zip, hollow, connection, and let that go. You're onto your back then, and here we go into your 100 position. So we're moving through the program at quite a pace. Exhale, curl up, create the imprint of the lumbar. Obviously, this is all becoming far more familiar. With your knees up, make sure kneecaps are level. Hold on to the back of your thighs. Shoulder blades are off the floor, but no higher than. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, thighs together. Breathing out 2, 3, 4. So focus on navel to spine, exhaling, inhaling chin to chest, exhaling inner thighs. Now add on the breath out, the legs reaching away, and inhale, pull them in. Breathing out, zip up and hollow and reach those legs away. Inhale, slide them in. Keeping the imprint as we've learnt, and the legs only go to where you can manage that imprint and a continuous breath. Nose to navel. 4 more. As your legs move away, the driving down of the navel to the spine matters. Last 2. And last 1. Pull your legs in, and we're ready for a single leg stretch. So you switch, switch, inhaling and exhaling. In, out, out. The hand goes to the outside ankle, inside goes to the knee. So you've got 1 and 2. Stay shoulder blades off, chin nods in. Last 1 each side. Are you ready? Keeping one arm in, hands behind the head, 1 leg in, you've got your obliques. 1, inhale, both knees together, exhale 2. Inhale, knees in, exhale 3. Make the breathing, compress the abdominal area, and your legs only go as far over, down as it were, as you can maintain true imprint. This should be getting you deep into the obliques. Use your breath out for not rolling onto your side, but by curling up with the opposite elbow into the thigh bone, hence criss, cross. Criss and across. Once more, each side. Last 1. And pull your knees into your chest. Moving on then, straight into shoulder bridge. This is actually section D in theory. You want your heels under your knee joint, your hands are reaching flat, lift as a bridge on the breath in, and the breath out, roll the spine down, separating out the vertebral column. On the breath in, press into your feet, the outside of the foot, and lift the hips up. On the breath out, separate out the spine. And we transition here into the single leg version. Inhaling up. Exhale, reach and point to the ceiling. Now pull to the downward space and push up. Thigh to thigh, toe to sky. Thigh to thigh, toe to sky. Pelvis stays level and return that foot to the ground. Check your hip bones out. Inhale the leg up, exhale down. Sky, thigh to thigh. Sky, thigh to thigh. One more, thigh to thigh, foot down. And we move on from here. Exhale and roll your spine down. Settling everything down. Come to seated. Obviously all the exercises that are part of these are actually detailed in previous videos. Right, seated, we're going into our open leg rocker. So lean back, shrink the tum. I'm on the back of my sit bones, but my upper spinal area is lengthened. Pick the legs up and balance. Now, take them down again and balance. If you can't do the balance, if you have osteoporosis, osteopenia, then you know that you shouldn't do the rolling or the open leg rocker version, but you can do this. If you're able to stay here then, I'm open on the opening phase. On the breath out then, I'm going to round the spine, roll back, and the breath in, sit up tall. Exhale, nod the chin, round, and up tall. Didn't quite make it. And round, try talking, and up tall. Exhale, it's like you roll, tilt the pelvis, pull the ribs down to the hip bones, keep the tension, and last time, exhale, and inhale, going to do another one because I've rolled back, inhale and balance. Okay, from that balanced shape there then, we're going straight into, make sure I'm right here, open leg rocker. Yep, we're going straight into your side kicks. So, this is a movement pattern that we've kind of perfected in our technique. Your pelvic position is level, hip bone, left to right. You're on the side of your armpit, and you can have your other hand here behind the head. Hips to shoulders are level, top leg lifts the height of the hip. You pull the leg forwards, and as that leg goes backwards, you slide into a side reach of the underneath side. You then pull it forwards, 1, 2, and inhale. Exhaling. Inhale, reaching away. Breathing out. Remember, if some moves don't work for you, then you don't do them. You could do this move without lifting up. It can't be in the shoulder. It has to be in the obliques as you reach back. Last one. Reaching back. And then find your body into side line. We're moving straight into the hip hitch. So make sure you've got your neutral alignment, hand in front without rolling forwards. We've got the top leg lifting, hitching, closing the underneath waist area. Exhale again, and the underneath leg joins to close the ground, the gap between the legs, and then lower back to the ground. Up you go. Pull the hip bone up without rolling backwards. Pulling the underneath leg up, closing the space between the legs, and then rolling away. All this while correcting any rotational shift you get at the hips. And if you're doing it accurately, it will lead us somewhere exciting. Last time, 1, shortening the waist. 2, find your obliques under your inner thighs, and then lengthen away. Let's go straight to the other side. I promise 30 minutes, give or take a few because of the opening gambit, and that's what I'm achieving here. So you're in your side position for the side kick. We go 1, 2, exhaling, inhale. She says that she almost overbalances, so, and up you elevate. Your leg is meant to stay along a horizontal plane. So as your leg moves to and fro, your underneath leg is heavy, and 2 more. These are flowing activities once the body knows where to breathe from and ground to. Staying then in your side lying balance, check that your pelvic position's level, and we're going straight into top leg lifts, hitch, underneath leg, point the toes and lower. Inhaling up, exhaling, driving into the waist work, underneath leg and lower. And you're going up. You should be pure neutral. Now, posture correctors if you're lordotic or you're constantly moving your pelvis into what we call an anterior tilt, or the opposite, posterior tilt, then make those adaptations. As long as there's no pain, you're exploring movements that actually rehab the posture and keep you agile, stable and mobile, and allow that to be the last one. You're going straight onto your front for what we call double leg kick. Double leg kick then, forehead to the hands that are on top of each other, and hover the hands at this point, hover the head over the hands. Your kick version of this, you can come away from the hands, pull the thighs together as you go 1, 2, 3. Now as you take the legs away, do a little bit of lateral rotation and let the head go down. So we pull the thighs together, 3 kicks the bum, and then there's that moving away into an element of lateral rotation. If you're unsure, and I think this is one of the hardest things we do to get right, just keep it in the legs, pull the thighs together, don't worry about your upper body, and the learning is pulling the thighs in to get the 3 kicks, and as your legs open out, you've got that small lateral rotation. You will never end up with your thighs wider than, feet wider, than the end of the mat. 1, 2, 3, and allow that to be it for there. Come seated. I will keep in the Pilates repertoire developing that double leg kick because we still aren't really where it belongs. You sat up tall again and never assume that you're square. Sitting on both sit bones for the first time today. Reach the crown of the head to the ceiling. Have the hands by your sides. Capture your breath. Inhaling, and on the exhale, this is spine, stretch forward, you'll nod the chin, keep the hands where they are as you bend over the rib cage, and then reach your arms across along the floor and float them up to the height of the ears. Have a huge inhale, and then exhale, slide the hands back and return your spine to seated neutral. Exhaling, hands stay still as you nod and roll through the neck, through the thoracic, responding then with your arms flowing forwards. Huge inhale here to expand the back of you, and breathing out, start to bring the hands, pull the shoulder blades together, keep those legs active. Last time. Floaty arms. And a lengthened spine. You're now into teaser prep, so into our final sequence for this episode, as it were. So you're leaning back, you're on the back of your sit bones. Teaser is done with an open chest, so your hands are here, you're breathing. Exhale, drive the thighs together. If nothing's in your back and your hands are light, float the feet off the floor, keeping the sensation of the thighs finding your flexors and your obliques. Exhaling. Crown of the head reaches the ceiling, the chin is nodded in. If you're happy here then, straighten the legs out and then tap the toes down. Exhale, reach the legs, toes should be about the height of the crown of the head, but you haven't collapsed at the spine. We're building in this sequence the strength to hold your form. You'll get obliques and hip flexors, and you'll notice whether one side is weaker than the other. Obviously, if all you can do is take your feet off fractionally, that's your level. Now, moving on then, have your arms here, and then see if you can float your feet off. Breathe. Exhale. Reach your legs straight or just keep them bent. So, shoulders, collarbones, pelvic floor. You feel the trunk stabilising, and then as your legs extend, that's absolute strength, and let that go. That's going to be the next episode, as it were. We're into our swan dive. Another really intense move, but essential. If you have if your forehead was down, if your feet now are as wide as your mat is, assuming it's not as wide as my mat, the mat you're on, your feet want to be wide and definitely laterally rotated. The pubis is to the ground, and the thighs and side bottom are already active. Your hip bones are nowhere jabbing into the ground. The hands are about the height of the head, and they're wider than you think they need to be. Here we go. Shoulders away from the neck. Breath out then, pubic bone imprint, and see if you can get those legs to reach up, floating, and inhale back down. Breathe out, grow the legs longer. The side glute connects, and inhale back down. I keep getting cramp in my calves. Breath out, it's due to how cold it is in here. And inhale back. If you can keep the legs up without the hip bones in the ground, then add the upper body extension. So you're now like a bow, aren't you? And then lower back down. Inhale, reach. Keep the legs reaching. Exhale, pull the ground under you. Look forwards for your skirting board so that you're keeping the thoracic spine part of it. We're building up the endurance fibres of the ability to hold this shape, and nothing's happening in the lumbar spine. Up you go, and relaxing down. Take your knees together, have a momentary child pose with your arms reaching, taking any tension out of the lumbar spine. Breathe deeply in and out. Freeing everything up, creating and maintaining length for the vertebral column, and you're ready for your final moment. The position that most people are trying to win, and remember, you only do what your body allows. Your top leg is your front leg, you're in turn out. Your bottom leg is your back leg, and it's two in turn out. You can feel the shin of the underneath leg. The armpit connects you, hands here, and you're going to go up onto your shin. If you've got more to give, you're going to pull yourself over and then bend and draw yourself back down. Exhale, press into the ground. You want absolute symmetry. If you can straighten out those legs, I'm trying to teach you where to pull from. So you pull from your armpit, and you push with your legs. And back down again. Pull with your armpit as you lift your waist and push your legs away. You can't push your legs before pulling with the armpit. Okay, and back down again. Remember, we've been doing this where you know how to moderate the exercises and work at your level. Just because one side is really quite happy to perform, never assume both sides are. Your hips need to be level. Know where your shin is as you lift. Try not to roll back at the hips. Pull with your armpit, push with your legs, and then pull yourself back. Pull with your armpit, shoulder over, and with the legs. And we go. Inhaling, exhale, and inhaling back, and feel that moment. You have one more. And done. Okay, people, I think you'll agree we have done an incredible journey. Then we finish off with your hip openness. Both legs level, thigh bones level, collarbones reaching. If you want to tuck your toes under, you can. If you want your shins flat, you can. Connect the ribs, the navel, the spine. You don't want any shift at the pelvis as we allow the body to rest after this session in an active neutral. Resisting over tight flexors, keeping the oblique its proper length, so you're neither too extended backwards nor too pulled forwards. Chest, collarbones open. You draw your pelvic floor up, shrinking your tummy in. Yes, you feel the side glute working. Last two. Nothing in the lumbar spine. Last one. And that, my friends, is really your first journey on the mats to a comprehensive start place for doing Joseph Pilates' system. The system being that if you do exercises in the order that I've been teaching them, you actually get the changes the body needs. So irrespective of what posture type you have, you're actually reorganising where you need to reorganise. Obviously you should develop a great sense of where the ground is in every exercise. Your breathing pattern, I believe, will really be more enhanced than it ever has been. And the sensation of mobility and stability at the end of this repertoire that we've done over 3 weeks really is the winner. Next week, I'll find a way of developing us from where we are. Now, if you've not managed to be with us frequently, then by all means, try and be a student of what we've done, because you can progress with us, but don't be afraid of dipping in. Apart from that then, it's a goodbye from me, and I'll see you tomorrow with more strength and endurance work, which I know is the complementary side of what we're offering through Facebook Live. Stay well and goodbye.